Well, Paige, Saddam now has been dead for 12 hours. It's just after 6 p.m. in Baghdad. And all day, Shiites were celebrating across the country as word of his execution spread. In the holy city of Najaf, people took to the streets, calling Saddam a tyrant and his death a, quote, great joy for the Iraqi people. But in some Sunni neighborhoods, there was criticism of a swift trial that led to Saddam's execution.
Shiites suppressed under Saddam for 25 years, dancing in the streets, firing guns in the air to celebrate the news. The government did not impose a round-the-clock curfew as it did when Saddam was convicted. The execution comes at the start of a week-long religious holiday in Iraq. And as we've been telling you, the butcher of Baghdad, responsible for the deaths of so many, led to the gallows and his own death at the end of a rope. President Bush calling the execution an important milestone on Iraq's course to become a democracy. Greg Kelly is live in Crawford, Texas, with more on the White House response. Greg.
Hello, Paige. Well, the response has been rather subdued compared to previous milestones that have been achieved inside Iraq. The president was actually asleep last night at the moment that Saddam Hussein was executed. However, he had been fully briefed on the process and what was going to happen by his national security advisor. We are told that if there had been some sort of hiccup in the process, the president would have been awakened. They allowed the Iraqi media, the Arab media, and Iraqi officials really to take the lead on announcing the death of Saddam Hussein. A White House statement was not released until about an hour and a half later. We're going to read a portion of it. This from President Bush last night. It is a testament to the Iraqi people's resolve to move forward after decades of oppression that, despite his terrible crimes against his own people, Saddam Hussein received a fair trial. The statement goes on. Saddam Hussein's execution comes at the end of a difficult year for the Iraqi people and for our troops. Bringing Saddam Hussein to justice will not end the violence in Iraq, but it is an important milestone on Iraq's course to becoming a democracy that can govern, sustain, and defend itself and be an ally in the war on terror. Again, overall, a subdued reaction. We have not seen President Bush since the execution, and we don't expect to see him at any point today. If you compare this to when the sentence was handed down, a little over a month ago, just before the midterm elections, President Bush almost immediately went before the cameras. Then he was out on the campaign trail highlighting the event. There is a sense inside the administration that one single event like this is not going to significantly bolster support for the war. They don't want to appear as though they're gloating or anything like that. And there have been other instances where they did try to, in some sense, capitalize on it, and the insurgency just continued unabated. So that, for now, is the reaction from the White House. We'll be watching all day long. Back to you, Paige.
Okay, Greg Kelly in Crawford, thank you so much.
Well, not much sympathy for Saddam Hussein's demise in Iran. You may recall that Saddam sent Iraqi forces into that nation in 1979. It was an 8-year-long war. Well, today in Tehran, they called him a dictator and a terrorist who killed their young people. The Iran-Iraq war not only lasted 8 years, but tens of thousands were killed on both sides. One Iranian told a reporter today he was happy to hear that Saddam had finally been executed. And Iraqis who escaped Saddam's rule to make new lives in our country cheered the news of his execution last night. Hundreds gathered in Dearborn, Michigan. They prayed for Saddam's death. Then, as you can see, danced and sang in celebration when the news finally came just after 10 p.m. Eastern Time last night. The Detroit area has one of the largest concentrations of Iraqi Americans in our country. Many of them fled Iraq to avoid persecution. Of the dictator who oppressed his people for decades, tried by an Iraqi court, sentenced by an Iraqi judge, and executed by Iraqi hangmen this morning.
But inevitably, people will say the U.S. was manipulating events. How can the world be convinced otherwise? We're talking with Lawrence Eagleburger. He was Secretary of State under the first President Bush. Thanks for joining us this morning, Mr. Secretary. Given your role in the first Bush administration, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this morning after the execution of Saddam Hussein.
Well, first of all, I think it puts an end to at least one part of the Iraqi tragedy. And I think in that sense, and if you see the reaction on the streets, I think it shows that the Iraqi people, by and large, thought that what we did in getting rid of him, at least, was worthwhile. And I think it was, and I think we have, in that sense, accomplished something. I don't think we ought to make too much out of this execution today. I hope he won't become a martyr, and I don't think he will, but if we play on it too long, or if it looks as if the U.S., in fact, did involve itself in this thing, then I think it could be awkward. And it's clear to me that the United States stayed out of it as far as they could, and I think that was the only way to play it.
And do you think that's the message on the Arab street this morning, that this execution was not the act of the United States, but rather this was justice chosen and meted out by the Iraqi people?
That certainly is the appropriate and proper line, but I must tell you, I can assume that at least in the Sunni world, there will be some who will say that it was all manipulated by the United States, and all we can do is say, no, that wasn't true, and tell the truth.
Do you feel with Saddam out of the picture now, his very existence, many felt really fueled the Sunni insurgency. With him out of the picture now, is there an opportunity for calm? Is there an opportunity for the three factions in Iraq to perhaps cooperate more than we've seen?
I devoutly wish there were. I don't think his death is going to make much difference in that regard. The Sunnis, through Saddam, ran Iraq for decades. Now that is no longer the case, and they are intent on getting back what they can of their authority. At the same time, the Shias, having resented what went on for so long, are now trying to get theirs. And I think that's going to continue between the Sunnis and the Shias for some period of time to come.
Mr. Secretary, what do you think is the next big milestone that needs to happen in Iraq to bring about peace and stability? I mean, this certainly is very symbolic.
Yeah, it's symbolic. I'm not sure it does much more than you know, put an end to one piece of this tragedy. But to me, the milestone that makes the most difference, and there are really two that combined. One is an Iraqi government that gets itself together and starts, in fact, being far more devoted to peace and to getting this war over than they have been so far. And secondly, the continued training of the Iraqi military, and I think that's going reasonably well. As they get trained and can step in to take over for American troops, I think there is real reason to hope that things can get better for us. But that training is essential first.
And let's hope that happens in 2007. Secretary Lawrence Eagleburger, former Secretary of State under the first President Bush, thanks for joining us this morning.
My pleasure, ma'am.
Eric?
Well, Paige, a lot more news around the globe today. There is news now on this international search for these twin little toddlers. They've been missing for days. As the cops close in on a kidnapper, we'll have an update on this trace. And Saddam's execution bringing Iraqis out of their homes and into the streets. Many who lost family and friends celebrating the death of that brutal dictator. But will it bring an end to the continuing violence in Iraq? We're going to have reaction in Baghdad, in our country, and across the globe, right here in the Fox News Channel, America's newsroom. Our coverage, the death of a dictator, continues for this Saturday morning.
Would you like to win $10 million from Publishers Clearinghouse?
There ain't no way.
Go to PCH.com at once or enter by mail, and our next $10 million winner could be you.
I can't believe this.
70,000 people in 50 countries. And yet every day, a two-person financial operation. You and us. UBS.
My souvenir from this trip? Back pain. Went from bad to worse. But now I wear this Thermacare heat wrap for 8 hours of heat and 16 hours of relief. 16 hours. I could use these every day. And now Thermacare is sponsoring an amazing road trip sweepstakes. Design a dream vacation and win a new Mercedes SUV. Hotel, food, gas, it's all included. So check out Thermacare.com and enter to win. Thermacare. Have heat, will travel.
Right now, we'll give you top-quality vitamins and supplements for just 89 cents. That's right, just 89 cents. These, essential for a healthy heart. These, for joint support. These, to help your memory. Or any of these. And not just any vitamins. They're from Puritan's Pride, the #1 direct-to-you vitamin manufacturer. Just 89 cents each when you call now for these special introductory coupons. How can we do it? We're the manufacturer. We make them with the highest quality ingredients. We sell them directly to you, and right now you can try them for just 89 cents. There's no obligation. Your satisfaction is 100% guaranteed. Plus, call now and you'll get the complete Puritan's Pride discount catalog free. You'll also get a $10 off bonus coupon good for any of the 1,400 top-quality products you'll find inside.
Call now for this special bonus, the Comprehensive Vitamins and Supplements to Live By Guide. Yours free. Call or go to PuritanTV.com right now.
And if you're tuning in right now, we want to let you know that we will be airing our business block, The Cost of Freedom, tomorrow, Sunday, 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, The Cost of Freedom, our popular business block, will air tomorrow, Sunday, 3 to 5 p.m. Be sure and tune in for that.
Where reaction continues to come in around the globe this morning to the hanging of Saddam and the dictator who killed and tortured so many of his own people, not getting much sympathy outside of Iraq's Sunni communities. But not everyone is rejoicing at the execution. Rudy Bakhtar live in Washington with some tempered and somber reaction. Hi, Rudy.
Hello to you, Eric. World leaders, political and religious, are speaking out over the death of the Iraqi dictator, divided over whether the former president's execution on Saturday was a step toward peace or fuel for further violence in the Middle East. European Union president, that's a rotating position currently held by Finnish Foreign Minister Erkki Tuomioja, reiterated the EU's opposition, that is, to the death penalty, saying that it should not have been applied in this case, despite Saddam Hussein's guilt for serious violations against human rights, a sentiment echoed by the Vatican spokesman, Reverend Federico Lombardi.
The execution of a capital sentence is always tragic news. It is always a motive for sadness, even when the person put to death is one who is guilty of grave crimes.
Here in America, though, Democrats and Republicans finally finding common ground, statements from both sides of the divide coming in. Senator Joe Biden saying, quote, Iraq has closed one of the darkest chapters in its history and rid the world of a tyrant. Every effort was made to afford Saddam the judicial rights he denied to 148 innocent victims of jail and to hundreds of thousands of other Iraqis during his brutal reign. And from Senator Mitch McConnell, this statement, Saddam Hussein, found guilty before the world after a free and fair trial, has finally met justice. The free people of Iraq must now go forward together to build a unified nation and leave behind sectarian divisions. In neighboring Iran and Kuwait, both countries invaded by Saddam Hussein, they welcomed his hanging. Iran's state-run television saying, with the execution of Saddam, the life dossier of one of the world's most criminal dictators was closed. And from Kuwait, a former information minister said, this is the best aid gift for humanity. Eric, back to you in New York.
All right, thank you, Rudy. Paige?
And in other news, they were happily married for 55 years. Now Betty Ford is saying goodbye to her beloved husband, America's 38th president. Thousands are joining her to pay their respects in California, gathering to file past the coffin of former President Gerald Ford. Buses carried many of them, 50 at a time, to St. Margaret's Episcopal Church in Palm Desert. Later today, President Ford's body will be flown across the country for services in Washington, D.C. A pair of twins abducted from their adoptive parents on Christmas Eve. Well, they were found alive and safe. 17-month-old Tyler Lee and Holly Ann Needham, now in the custody of Canadian Social Services. The FBI says their biological mother crossed the border with them on December 23rd. Allison Lee Quetz never returned the twins after a prearranged visit with their adoptive parents. She's now under arrest.
Well, an estimated 2 million Iraqis killed during Saddam's regime, but it was the 1982 massacre that finally sent him to his death at the end of a hangman's noose. We'll have a look at Saddam's trial and what it was like to see him sentenced from someone who covered it and was there. We'll have that straight ahead.
The winter blast that slammed Colorado for the second time in a week. Well, guess what? It's moving east with possible chaos in store for the Great Plains. We are tracking the weather right here on Fox News. And remember, our business block airs tomorrow from 3 to 5 p.m. Don't miss it.
Here we go. We're to the right. That's the one. There is the deuce. Perfect. High five. How's it look out there? Good?
Like when things are real easy?
You're going to love what we've done to retirement planning. It's called My Plan from Fidelity. Retirement planning made easy. Smart move.
I'm Montel Williams. The Partnership for Prescription Assistance is traveling to all 50 states, making stops to help people pay for their medicine.
I was in a lot of pain. I wasn't able to afford my medications, and PPA gave me back my life.
This past year, America's pharmaceutical companies gave away more than $5 billion worth of medicines to people in need.
It has been a lifesaver for me in more ways than one.
If you need help, just call 1-888-4PPA now. The Partnership for Prescription Assistance, on the road to helping you.
The Visa check card. Because money shouldn't slow you down. Life takes faster money. Life takes Visa.
This winter, while other shows are in repeat, My Network TV's gonna keep things hot.
Hungry? Or do you want to work up an appetite?
With 2 new series. First,
I gave him my heart and he betrayed it.
Tatum O'Neal stars in Wicked Wicked Games. Followed by Watch Over Me.
Kill him.
All new episodes 5 nights a week and no repeats. Weeknights. Only on My Network.
Turn left. Turn clockwise. Turn left at intersection. Destination ahead.
Navigate your holidays. From now until January 2nd, purchase or lease any specially equipped Cadillac and we'll pay for the navigation system. Season's best. From Cadillac.
Visit your Northwest Cadillac dealer for this attractive offer. Residency restrictions apply.
Good morning. I'm here to see Mr. Johnson.
Hello, I'm here to see Mr. Johnson.
Bad reception? Sign up today for Comcast Digital Cable. Rain or shine, you'll get crystal clear TV reception, unlike satellite. Just call 1-888-COMCAST. Comcast Digital Cable. It's Comcastic.
Well, if you're just waking up this morning and joining us, the news that Iraq President Saddam Hussein has been executed for crimes against humanity. There is his body after the execution that occurred just over 12 hours ago in Baghdad. How might his death finally impact the war and his Sunni followers? For insight, we're joined by Michigan Congressman Pete Hoekstra. He's chairman of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Congressman, good morning. Welcome. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Hey, thank you. Good morning.
You know, we're getting some insight now coming out of what happened at the end. The videographer has told Newsweek he was standing only 3 feet from Saddam Hussein, and he says that Saddam was afraid, that he said nothing except saying that Iraq is nothing without me. It seems such a meek, compliant, ignominious end with no fiery speech at all.
Well, again, we haven't seen the videotape. I'm not sure exactly what happened. That's the first time that I've heard this. You know, really what we're going to be focused on now is how radical Islamists are going to respond to this execution. You know, what's going on in the streets in the Sunni areas of Iraq? What's going on the radical Islamic web pages? Are they going to use this to incite a new higher level of violence like they did after the Pope's comments a few months ago or after the Danish cartoons? Those are the kinds of things and the indicators that we're going to be watching.
Well, you certainly think that they would, but the question is also, will it work?
Yeah, that again is going to be the question. Will it work? Will it close a chapter, or will it open a new chapter, and will Saddam go down as a martyr? And those are some of the things that we don't know. What we do need to do is focus on the things that we are positive about, that this was a decision that was made by the Iraqi government. Saddam went through the judicial system, went through a judicial review process. The political leaders reviewed this. And the people in Iraq, the government leaders, decided that this execution was the most positive thing to enable Iraq to move forward, and I hope that they were right.
Well, you know, some in the Arab world, of course, they're going to blame us. They're going to say America orchestrated it. It's got our fingerprints behind it. So no matter what we do, you don't get the credit when someone like this finally gets justice.
That's exactly right. The radical Islamist parts of the Sunni society, they will blame the United States for us. I met with some Sunni leaders, 6 weeks ago. They believe that the United States still has its fingerprints and a grip on this new government, that this new government is just a puppet for the United States. I don't believe that that is the case, but we are going to have to take every step that we can to clearly indicate to the people of Iraq, to the radical Islamists, and to the rest of the world that this is an Iraqi government that has responsibility and control of Iraq's future.
But would it have meant more, Congressman, if the Iraq government is completely and would be in complete control of its government? It seems, in a sense, kind of anticlimactic because the war continues and so does the violence.
Yeah, that's why I don't read too much into this specific execution. I'm not a big fan of the death penalty, and as you heard earlier on your report, there are other people that also are not big fans of the death penalty. But this is a decision that the Iraqi people made, that the Iraqi government made to move forward. But again, as with so many other events that have happened in Iraq, the Constitution, the elections, and those types of things, you need to be very careful about reading too much into any specific event. It's a very complex environment. Lots of things have to go right before we can be confident that we are past the tipping point and we're going to have a secure and stable Iraq.
And it seems that a lot more than just the execution of Saddam Hussein will have to occur for that to happen.
Absolutely.
Congressman Pete Hoekstra, we thank you very much for joining us on this Saturday morning.
Great, thank you.
Deadly tornadoes in Texas sending the President and First Lady scrambling for cover. We are live with your Foxcast. That's coming up. And families of American soldiers in Iraq celebrating the death of Saddam, what they're saying about the execution. And a reminder, the Fox News Business Block will be seen in its entirety tomorrow from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern. That's The Cost of Freedom tomorrow. Where else? On the Fox News Channel.
Everything you buy today comes in those hard-to-open plastic packages. You can cut them, you can fry them, you can twist them, you can plug them. But there's just no easy way to get them open. Until now. Introducing the Package Shark, designed to cut right through plastic packaging, yet it can't cut you. Simply slide the Package Shark along the edge, and your package is open. Just one step, easy as it looks. It works the first time, every time, and anyone can do it. Watch the Package Shark open 10 packages in 10 seconds. Square edges, round edges, thin ones, thick ones, big ones, little ones. Products everyone buys week after week. Use it in the kitchen, the office. Keep one in the toolbox. Everyone needs a Package Shark to open cosmetics, cords and cables, electronics and toys, even the batteries that go in them. If you can buy it in a store, the Package Shark opens it up quickly, safely, and easily. So why fight and struggle with all those packages when now you can get them open with ease with the Package Shark for just $14.99. As an added bonus, you'll also receive our Safe and Easy Power Scissors, a $20 value, yours free. They cut clean, sharp curves on fabrics with the speed of a sewing machine. Zip right through coupons and gift wrap without tearing. Perfect for trimming photos straight and even, and they're ideal for crafts and scrapbooks too. So call now and get the amazing Package Shark and the cordless power scissors, both for only $14.99. So call right now and we'll double the offer. That's right. You get 2 Package Sharks and 2 power scissors, all for only $14.99. This offer is not available in stores, so call now. Here's how to order.
To order your Package Shark, have your credit card ready and call 1-800-951-0434. Order now and get a second Package Shark and power scissor free. So don't delay. Order now by calling 1-800-951-0434. That's 1-800-951-0434.
Give me Jack Bauer immediately. Next month on Fox.
We're asking you to sacrifice yourself.
Experience the thrill ride only the best drama on television can deliver.
I've been waiting for this for a long time.
Non-stop, all season long.
Don't even think about it. My name is Jack Bauer. I know who you are.
24, the 2-night premiere event, next month on Fox.
As if they haven't suffered enough, look at the sky and the skyline of the Big Easy. New Orleans getting pelted with a tornado watch and heavy rains. There's excessive rain, we're being told, moving from Louisiana to Mississippi. It could reach as much as 6 inches in some locations. Flash flooding will be expected later on today on this Saturday. There's strong and severe thunderstorms continuing across the area, damaging wind gusts. A few tornadoes, they say, are threatened to touch down in the area. So here we are at the end of 2006 in New Orleans. No let up for the people of that city as they are under a tornado watch at this moment.
Justice was swift. Less than 2 months after he was found guilty, Saddam Hussein executed for crimes against humanity. Fox News correspondent Courtney Keeley covered Saddam's trial. She was there when the death sentence was read. She joins us in the studio now to tell us about it. Welcome, Courtney. You know, it's so interesting because I was talking to you yesterday. We were talking about Saddam before the execution. Give us an idea of what it's like to see these images now that we've been looking at all morning, the video as the noose is placed around his neck, and marrying that image with the man you saw in the courtroom as the verdict was read.
Well, what was shocking and surprising when I saw Saddam Hussein walk into the courtroom was his arrogance, his need for his showmanship to prove that somehow he was still holding on to power. And I don't think it read as well in stills. You sort of saw his arm up in the air. I saw a lot of the newspaper pictures. But you didn't see the full videotape of what we were watching in the courtroom, his antics, not standing up when the judge told him to stand, sort of swaggering. I mean, I always say swaggering because he did. The videotape of a 69-year-old man, almost 70, having a noose put around his neck with people in ski masks and balaclavas is a menacing, ominous kind of photograph. And that doesn't really fit this vicious, brutal tyrant that everyone hears about. But then when you hear the description of he refused to put on a hood, he wanted his face to be shown, still egomaniac, still narcissistic. And then the people that were putting the noose around his neck covered their identity, still scared of retribution.
It seemed, you mentioned, narcissistic arrogance. To the end, he seemed to believe he's the leader of Iraq, saying that, quote, Iraq is nothing without me. Yet he touched and affected so many people's lives, and you had that personal experience. Do you think people now will breathe easier in Iraq, and this can lead to an end in violence, or it's just a blip?
I think there'll be a sense of relief. I think people wanted to see him put to death. They wanted to know that he could never come back. Regardless of the power vacuum now, regardless of the corruption in this fledgling government, what they're trying to sort out, insurgencies, criminal activity, Saddam is gone. And this was a man who believed that he was sanctioned by God to kill ethnic groups, that he would interpret the Quran and went out and tried to eradicate hundreds of thousands of people. And you can never underestimate the crimes that he committed in Iraq and the delusions that he was under and how he rationalized it.
You know, it's so hard for us to even understand, and you were living over there, and tell us what it was like for the average Iraqi person who lived under Saddam's reign as they were hearing about the verdict, as they were watching this trial go on.
Well, at first there was a lot of excitement. They thought, okay, it's a trial. The first day, everyone in our bureau that was Iraqi was gathered around. They weren't shy about it. They were talking to me. They were telling me exactly how they felt, and it was quite angry or tragic. Personal stories of lost family members saying, we want to see him gone. But then the trial kept going, and as we all know, watching trials, they can seem to drag on, the legalities, the defense. Now, this is all in history books now. The second trial, the Anfal trial for the Kurds, all that testimony finished before the Dujal trial. So you actually had a complete trial for Dujal of the killing of 148 men and young boys. And then you had the Kurdish trial where all those people were able to, all the witness testimony, all the forensics was also put in historical records. So you have the immediacy of the Iraqis wanting it to happen, a year of hardship, which is they're still enduring, violence, lack of electricity, lack of heat right now. It's cold. People don't think of Iraq being cold. You don't have electricity, you don't have heat. So they're still under horrible circumstances right now. This will put one of their fears to rest.
And that's good news. Courtney Thiele, thank you.
Courtney, good to see you in New York. Thank you. Well, it's worth remembering what Saddam Hussein did to finally get the death penalty. He was found guilty in the deaths of 148 Shiites back in 1982. It was a brutal response to an attempted assassination. Many more people, of course, were murdered during his reign, an estimated 2 million in all, including in the war with Iran. Well, at the time of his execution, he was also on trial, as Courtney said, for genocide and for the killing of 100,000 Kurds and using poison gas on his own people. Poison gas also used on Iranian soldiers during that 8-year war with Iran. Meanwhile, besides an estimated 2 million people who were killed during his regime, many more people found in mass graves, still missing, a legacy that will long be searched, that country. The military families in Killeen, Texas, meanwhile, happy to hear the news of Saddam's execution today. Killeen happens to be the home of Fort Hood. About 30,000 soldiers from Fort Hood right now in Iraq. Veterans and soldiers' relatives got together last night at a bar to wait on word of Saddam's demise, and almost all of them were happy to hear that he was dead.
I'm proud. I'm glad they hung him. He deserved it. After all the chaos that he's caused to everybody else. And he set an example for terrorists everywhere to come over here. Think that they can mess with the U.S., and they can't.
Well, one of those there at the bar did disagree, though, saying Saddam, in his view, got off easy by being executed.
Interesting. Well, coalition troops on high alert today as Saddam went to the gallows in Iraq, anticipating a Sunni backlash. But some observers think Saddam's death will lead to a period of calm. We're talking to a member of the House Armed Services Committee. Georgia Congressman Jim Marshall is joining us right now. And I understand, Congressman Marshall, that you are back from Iraq. Tell us your impression of how this execution is going to be digested by Iraqis. Will it lead to a period of calm?
Well, it's hard to predict whether it will lead to a period of calm, but it's hard to believe also that Sunnis are going to be looking backward towards Saddam, and Saddam as a leader. He's history. He's not coming back. They're going to be looking forward and hopefully forward to a calmer Iraq. So we all pray for calm. You know, I actually think that his execution helps the judicial system in Iraq. In many places, it's not functioning very well. Mosul's an example. The soldiers there complain that judges are just terrified. They have to bring in judges that are secret judges in order to try people in Mosul. Perhaps this will strengthen the Iraqi judicial system.
That's a great point. Tell us what you found on your trip to Iraq in terms of morale, and do you think that Saddam's execution is likely to boost troop morale?
Well, it's hard to believe that Saddam's execution won't be greeted by soldiers positively. And as far as morale is concerned, everywhere I went, soldiers were positive about what they were doing. They thought they were making progress, particularly in the development of Iraqi security forces. That's a steady process that calls for patience on the Iraq side, on the American side, and here at home. And one of the things soldiers repeatedly say, they've been saying, I've been there 10 times now, I constantly hear this, that they're disappointed by the news coverage at home. They see it in Iraq. It just doesn't, in their mind, reflect the reality that's on the ground. They feel they're making progress and that news media coverage and political statements here in the United States just don't reflect that.
Well, we certainly try to be fair and balanced here at Fox and highlight all the progress that is being made, which is ignored largely by the mainstream media. I want to ask you what you think is the next biggest obstacle in terms of bringing peace and stability to Iraq. Is it the security forces? Is it getting them up and trained?
Sectarian violence is a real problem in Iraq right now. I think everybody knows that. The security forces have to represent the entire country, and yet they're made up by Kurds, Sunnis, and Shia. And it's going to be a challenge holding the security forces together and getting them to perform as they need to perform. Iraqis have to secure the country. We can help them, but we can't do it ourselves. So we're dependent upon them. We're making progress where the development of the security forces is concerned, but it's spotty across the country. Sometimes it's local Iraqi police. For example, it's amazing what's going on in Ramadi right now. The local Iraqi police are going after al-Qaeda very aggressively. But up in the northern part of Iraq, where they're Kurds, Shia, Sunni, and Turkmen, the security forces aren't performing very well. We need those security forces to perform well.
And sir, before I let you go, does that require more boots on the ground? What do you think it will take?
The key to the deal is Iraqis, listen to the military commanders. The ones I've been talking to aren't calling for more soldiers. in specific places they want more soldiers, but they've got the internal capacity within Iraq right now and within the American forces in Iraq to supply additional soldiers in specific areas. So I just don't see that additional troops, large numbers of additional American troops, are going to help all that much.
Congressman Jim Marshall, thank you for joining us today.
Sure.
Thank God we got rid of him. That's just one Iraqi's response to the execution of Saddam. Others taking to the streets, dancing and firing their guns in the air at the news that he is indeed dead. Clarissa Ward, live in Baghdad with more. Clarissa, it's now, about 6:40 p.m. nightfall. Is it, despite the fact that there have been 3 attacks, is it quieter than you would have thought in the wake of Saddam's hanging?
Well, it's difficult to say, Eric. I mean, I know that the Iraqi people here were very concerned that one of the possible outcomes of Saddam Hussein's execution and of the subsequent video that was shown on Al Araqiya state television following his execution, that it would lead to a spike in sectarian violence here, possibly from the Sunni-led insurgency. Of course, it's impossible to say in this scenario, when you have so much daily violence already, whether you can really say that the incidents today are definitively connected to or are a reaction to Saddam Hussein's execution will be just speculation at this stage. But what I can tell you, Eric, I was up here for a live shot just a few hours ago. I heard a series of fairly large blasts. I looked behind me and saw black smoke billowing in the distance. What I was actually hearing was a double car bombing that took place in the Hurriya neighborhood. That's a mostly Shiite neighborhood. 37 people have now been confirmed dead in that attack, 76 wounded, and that was really just hours after Al Araqiya state television released video of Saddam Hussein's lifeless body shortly after his execution. Now, the government here certainly was preparing for all the security measures that they figured they would need following Saddam Hussein's execution. Emergency procedures were implemented in several Sunni provinces, bolstered police forces on the streets, an increase in checkpoints, and a 24-hour curfew in place in the cities of Tikrit and Samarra, both of those in the Salahuddin province where Saddam Hussein was born. Really, Eric, the question remaining at this point is, where is Saddam Hussein's body and where will it be buried? Under Islamic law, he must be buried within 24 hours, so the clock or the time is starting to run short, and we should be hearing something in the coming hours about what decision has been made about where to send Saddam's body. We do know that there were talks going on between sheikhs from Saddam Hussein's tribe in the northern city of Tikrit, which is his hometown, and local Iraqi government here in Baghdad about the possibility of transporting his body from here in Baghdad to the northern city of Tikrit. An Iraqi journalist in Tikrit also reporting, which we have not been able to confirm yet, but he was reporting to us that a U.S. military chopper may in fact be used to transport Saddam Hussein's body from here in Baghdad to Tikrit for a burial service sometime before dawn. Eric?
So, Ward, thank you, and Clarissa will be coming back to you as developments warrant in Baghdad. Thank you. Paige?
People around the world waking up to the news of the execution of Saddam Hussein. What could Saddam's demise mean for the U.S. military and the effort to stabilize Iraq? We're going to take a closer look at the possible impact.
And just a reminder for you, the Costa of Freedom business block that's usually seen at this time will instead air tomorrow. Tomorrow, Sunday, 3 to 5 p.m. The most powerful name in business, but our continuing coverage of the execution of Saddam Hussein continues in a moment.
Visa Business Card gives you financial tools to help reduce paperwork, increase efficiency, and maybe even save a tree or two. Your business is your life. Life takes Visa.
Wherever good can overcome, that is where your contributions to the Salvation Army go.
Honey,
Yeah?
do you know what this light switch does?
Which one?
The one on the right.
I never used that one.
All right, will you look?
Yep.
On, off. On?
No.
Are you looking?
Yeah.
Off. On, off. On, off. On, off. On, off.
Life comes at you fast. When it does, nobody covers your car like Nationwide. Investments, retirement, insurance.
Nationwide is on your side.
Because financial solutions have no borders or boundaries, UBS operates in only 2 locations. Everywhere. And right next to you. You and us. UBS.
Adelaide. Well, we're getting reaction now coming in from across the globe. Barack Obama, who is the Illinois senator, potential presidential candidate, saying that the Iraqi people have found justice in the death of a dictator who brutalized, tortured, and killed thousands of innocent men, women, and children, but says that they need a political solution for the burgeoning civil war so that Saddam's iron-handed brutality is not replaced by endless chaos, conflict, and bloodshed. That is a statement being released right now on behalf of U.S. Senator Barack Obama. Well, as the word of his death spreads across the globe, we're looking at other reaction. The United States government now calling on people to be vigilant about the possibility of terror attacks on our country. Joining us now is Neil Livingston, who is a terrorism analyst for the latest reaction on Saddam's death. Neil, welcome. Thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you.
Do you expect this to increase potential terrorist attacks here in America because of the symbolism of Saddam's hanging?
I don't think it's going to increase the potential here in the United States. Saddam doesn't really have adherents in the United States. We saw pictures last night of the Arab communities in Dearborn and other places rejoicing as a result of his death. And I think it may increase the possibility of, say, mob violence or some type of attack in the Middle East or particularly in Iraq. But I think it's going to be a very short-term blip right now.
You know, talk about the reaction in Iraq. President Bush this morning in a statement calling it a milestone. But it seems there have been so many. We've had the elections, the Constitution, Uday and Qusay being killed, al-Zakari. How can Saddam's execution and the pictures we just saw of him dead stop the violence?
Well, I don't think it will. It brings some closure to those Iraqis in particular. 80% of the population, which is Kurdish or Shiite, that suffered under Saddam Hussein so much. But in terms of the Sunni triangle and those people who are opposed to the American presence in the country and those foreign fighters, those jihadists, Saddam was hardly the motivator, the hero, or even the symbol of that resistance. They may carry out a few attacks right now that they ascribe to, to his passing in some way. But in reality, this is an insurgency that's going to go on, and his death is not going to really impact it very greatly.
Yeah, there was a car bombing in a Shiite neighborhood. Does that an indication that there will be more attacks and that's continuing, or do you think that's more of the same?
It's just more of the same. Look, there is a major insurgency in Iraq today. It's been going on for some time. We have car bombings every day. We have attacks every day. And Saddam's death is not going to affect it profoundly one way or another. I don't think that there were Sunnis up in the Sunni triangle that felt that somehow they were going to be able to restore Saddam Hussein to power, that they would be able to free him or release him, or that he was coming back in some way. Their insurgency is not dependent on him. It wasn't in the past, and it won't be in the future.
Well, certainly we hope at least the Iraqi people take Saddam's last letter asking for the Iraqi people to unite and not hate the foreigners, and that peace can't come to that country somehow. Neil Livingston, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Paige?
Iraq is ready to move on after the execution of Saddam Hussein. We're going to look at how the butcher of Baghdad came to power and ruled. And the Fox News Business Block will be seen in its entirety tomorrow from 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern. That's The Cost of Freedom tomorrow on Fox News Channel.
believe it.
Would you like to win $10 million from Publishers Clearinghouse?
Oh, yeah!
Go to PCH.com at once. Or enter by mail, and our next $10 million winner could be you.
While oil and natural gas earnings compare with other major industries, we've reinvested more than $1 trillion since 1992, part of an ongoing commitment using advanced technology to find new sources of energy and protect our environment. We'll need 50% more energy by 2030, and we're working to ensure reliable supplies to keep America going strong. Log on and let us show you more. A message from America's oil and natural gas industry.
It only happens once a year.
Welcome to Hollywood.
The dream is back.
Absolutely fantastic.
American Idol returns next month on Fox.
We were one of the first biodiesel companies in the country, one of those classic businesses that started in a garage. And over the course of time, we've actually built our business off of our website. It's still the #1 place people find out where they can buy biodiesel in Oregon. We really rely on Comcast Workplace to do the work that we do. I'm bringing in emails that are 10 megs, and it amazes me how fast they load, 5 times faster than DSL. We looked at other high-speed options, but they all came up empty. With Comcast Workplace, we're not waiting, we're actually getting work done.
Queue up a free ringtone from Qtone. Call right now and get a ringtone at no cost to you. Just text your choice to 40100. Text D10 for Gold Digger. Text E10 for Wait, the Whisper Song. Text M10 for Sweet Home Alabama. Or text J10 for Super Mario Brothers. Text your choice and send it to 40100. And remember, text right now for a free ringtone from Qtone.
Hi, I'm Bob Lamphere Jr. What brought you to Beaverton Chrysler?
I bought my previous Infiniti here, and I got a great deal. Financing was fabulous. They were very easy to deal with.
For 36 years, it's been our family's privilege to serve your family's automotive needs on Canyon Road in Beaverton. And remember, if it isn't the best used car you've ever owned, just bring it back to Beaverton Chrysler Dodge.
To me, that helped a lot, made me feel a little bit more at ease with my decision, that I was able to return it and exchange it for a different vehicle if I wanted. Very easy process. I enjoyed it a lot.
A rock can fill you with wonder. A rock can inspire your imagination. A rock can touch your heart. A rock can soothe your senses or help you enjoy a little free time. Yes, a rock can do a lot of things, but only this rock has what it takes to help you plan for a rock-solid retirement. Let Prudential be your rock for retirement.
Well, we're all seeing how Saddam Hussein's life ended on that gallows in Baghdad almost 13 hours ago now. But what about his legacy in the 3 decades of brutality, terror, and international defiance that he represented? David Lee Miller now on Saddam's life.
The fall of a dictator. Operation Iraqi Freedom toppled Saddam's regime, ending more than 2 decades in power. As coalition forces surrounded Baghdad, Saddam, or one of his many lookalikes, told Iraqis to fire on the criminal. Despite repeated airstrikes targeting Saddam, his fate at war's end remained a mystery. Was he dead or alive? No one knew. Gone for certain, countless statues, photos, and paintings that once served as self-made tributes. The man nicknamed the Butcher of Baghdad, who tortured and murdered anyone who opposed him, had the humblest of beginnings. He was born to a widow in the small northern Iraqi town of Tikrit on April 28, 1937. Saddam's mother sent him to stay with an uncle, a devout Muslim nationalist and army officer. Uncle Talfa was the role model for a young, impressionable Saddam Hussein. In high school, he joined the pro-nationalist anti-Western Ba'ath political party. In 1958, a young Saddam plotted to assassinate Iraqi dictator Major General Abdel Karim Qasim. The plot failed. Hussein was quickly arrested, and just as quickly, he escaped. On the run, he ended up in Cairo, where he finished his secondary schooling and studied law. Still active in the Ba'ath movement, a second attempt at Karim's life succeeded. He even killed his own brother-in-law for the sake of the party. At a young age, he was fast becoming what the Iraqi government would call the perfect soldier. A series of coups and counter-coups later, the Ba'ath Party took firm control of Iraq. Following a bloodless coup in 1968, Saddam Hussein was on the verge of ultimate power. During the 70s, Saddam nationalized Western oil companies and used the revenue for building and welfare projects. But he also used the money to beef up the military, adding an elite presidential security force, the Republican Guard. Many considered him the real power behind then Iraqi President Ahmed Hassan al-Bakr. In 1979, he stepped out of the shadows to become president himself. He invaded Iran in 1980, a war that lasted 8 years and cost 1 million lives. 2 years later, in August 1990, the master strategist made his biggest strategic blunder. He invaded Kuwait for what he claimed was the recovery of stolen oil resources. Saddam ignored the world's demand to withdraw from Kuwait, prompting Gulf War I, Operation Desert Storm. Saddam Hussein called it the mother of all battles. But with Iraq's infrastructure badly damaged and its army in retreat, most called it defeat. But Saddam claimed victory. He continued to demand the withdrawal of UN inspectors that were sent to ensure Iraq was no longer making weapons of mass destruction. In post-war Iraq, political rivals were killed, his people lived in fear, but he held on to power. Until Operation Iraqi Freedom ended his reign once and for all. But decades of his ruthless regime took their toll. He left behind a country in tatters and a legacy of terror the world will not forget. David Lee Miller, Fox News.
The end has come for Saddam Hussein. Millions of people could not be happier. We're going to have more on the reaction as the news moves around the globe.
And a reminder for you, the Fox News Business Block, usually seen at this time, will be seen tomorrow instead in its entirety. 3 o'clock to 5 p.m. Eastern tomorrow afternoon. The Cost of Freedom tomorrow on Fox News, as our coverage of the death of a dictator, the end of Saddam Hussein, continues right after this. Stay with us.
Tired of all that chopping and all those tears? Now there's a better way. Introducing the Vidalia Chop Wizard that lets you chop your prep time in half. Chop an entire onion with just one swift motion. Minimize odor, reduce tears. Chop peppers, mushrooms, carrots, zucchini. You can prepare a stir-fry faster than you ever thought possible. The secret is the ultra-sharp stainless steel precision cutting blades, guaranteed to give you uniform results every time. Chopping the old-fashioned way takes forever and can be dangerous. Which would you rather do? With Chop Wizard, your hands never touch the blade, so you can chop a big batch of fries safely in no time. The Chop Wizard is the fast and easy way to chop cheese, too. The catch container even doubles as a measuring cup. Chopping tomatoes with a knife can be a soupy mess, but Chop Wizard chops tomatoes into cubes, so you can make a chunky salsa instantly. Chop apples, pears, strawberries, pineapple. You'll have a fruit salad faster and easier than ever. The Vidalia Chop Wizard's the one amazing tool you'll want to use over and over and over again. And with Chop Wizard, cleanup's a breeze. Now you can order the time-saving Vidalia Chop Wizard for the special TV price of only $19.95. But wait, call right now and we'll include the fine dicer blade free. Dicing garlic has never been easier. This amazing blade dices hard-boiled eggs for egg salad in a flash. Finely chopped shallots or diced nuts for baking. The amazing Vidalia Chop Wizard with chopper blade and fine dicer blade. An incredible value for only $19.95. Order now.
To order, call 1-800-540-1198 or send a check or money order to Vidalia Chop Wizard, 2 Morgan Avenue, Norwalk, Connecticut, 06851. So call 1-800-540-1198. That's 1-800-540-1198.
For active traders, it all happens here, online. That's why we made Scottrade Elite fast, easy to navigate, and easy to customize, so everything's right where you want it. Streaming data, level 2 quotes, advanced technicals. You can test your strategies with virtual trading, manage multiple accounts from a single screen, and trade unlimited shares for just $7 flat, market or limit. Sometimes it pays to think inside the box. Demo Scottrade Elite today at ScottradeElite.com.
You're looking at the last moments of Saddam Hussein's life. These pictures now have been sent across the globe. He appears calm. As you can see, guards put a black cloth around his neck, and then they put the rope noose around that neck. Saddam held a Quran. They say he refused to have a hood pulled over his head. The videographer who took these pictures you are seeing right now told the Newsweek magazine that Saddam was afraid, that he showed fear, something so many of his victims also knew firsthand. President Bush in Crawford, Texas, issuing a statement this morning saying that the execution marks the end of a difficult year for the Iraqi people and for our troops. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Fox News Live's continuing coverage of the execution of Saddam Hussein. I'm Eric Shawn.
And I'm Paige Hopkins. Just a quick reminder to our viewers, those of you wanting to watch the Cost of Freedom business block, normally seen at this time, it will air in its entirety tomorrow starting at 3 p.m. Eastern Time.
Now, Saddam's brutal reign of terror now over, and the news of his hanging has sparked some backlash this morning, but it's also brought joy to millions of Iraqis who suffered immensely over the past quarter of a century at his hand. David McDougall, live in our Baghdad bureau with the very latest. David, there have been 4 attacks. Any indication that they have exactly been sparked by this execution?
Eric, no real cause and linkage yet to the execution. As you said, Saddam has been dead for a little more than 12 hours. At dawn this morning, he was taken to the gallows and hanged. At that time, most Iraqis were just waking up, turning into satellite news to get the information for themselves. Then, a few hours later, they got to see some video, the video that we're just going to show you now, video that they never expected to see, I'm sure, the former dictator with a noose around his neck. Here's the play-by-play on that. It shows Saddam dressed in a dark jacket and white shirt. Other condemned prisoners have been before seen in green prison jumpsuits. Saddam's hands are cuffed behind his back. A piece of cloth is put around his neck, we assume, to prevent too much bruising to the body. He refuses to have a black hood put over his head. Then the noose is put in place. The video cuts at that point. We do not see the actual execution, although it could be shown at a later date. But there's also some video after Saddam was hanged, wrapped in a white shroud. We don't yet know what's happening to the body. There are conflicting reports about it. But under Muslim tradition, he'll have to be buried within the next 12 hours. The feeling here is he'll go into an unmarked grave. We may not know the location of that grave for many years, if ever. That's what happened to Abu Musab al-Zarqawi, but Saddam's 2 sons were buried in a family plot, and that's also an option for Saddam. Eric, there's been rather predictably some mixed reaction in Iraq to Saddam's execution. In Shiite areas, especially Sadr City here in Baghdad, people have taken to the streets in celebration. As you know, Shiites and Kurds were victimized, brutalized by Saddam and his regime, so they, more than most, have a reason to be joyful. But it's a different story in Sunni parts of the country where many are Saddam loyalists. In Tikrit, Saddam's hometown, there's a 4-day curfew in place with Iraq's security forces standing by in case of any upsurge in violence. And as you have said, there have been some attacks today in one neighborhood in northwest Baghdad, Hurriya. At least 37 people were killed, dozens more wounded in 2 car bombings. Now, I was in Hurriya myself a couple of months ago. It's a mixed neighborhood, but mostly Shiite, where a lot of Shiite refugees have come from other parts of the country. Although I don't think it's fair that we can say that there was a direct linkage between the execution and the violence at this point. And Eric, of course, as this unfolds, this really is water cooler talk for Iraqis here, discussing what they saw, wondering if they're going to see any more video, and of course wondering what's going to happen to Saddam's body. We should know the answers to that in the coming days. Eric?
All right, David, and you'll be on standby, of course, throughout the night as nightfall begins in Baghdad for the very latest. David McDougall, thank you. Paige?
Washington is talking about the newest chapter in Iraq's history. President Bush calling the execution an important milestone on the country's course to becoming a democracy. Greg Kelly is live in Crawford, Texas, the Western White House, with more on the White House response. Greg.
Hi there, Paige. The president went to bed last night knowing that Saddam Hussein was on his way shortly to an appointment with the executioner. A pre-approved statement was released about an hour and a half after the execution by the White House. They really wanted the Iraqis to get out in front and the Arab world to get out in front on this story first. But once things had settled somewhat, the White House put out the following statement. I'm going to read a portion of it right now. It is a testament to the Iraqi people's resolve to move forward after decades of oppression that, despite his terrible crimes against his own people, Saddam Hussein received a fair trial. It went on to say, bringing Saddam Hussein to justice will not end the violence in Iraq, but it is an important milestone on Iraq's course to becoming a democracy. Overall, a rather subdued reaction from the White House. Compare this to a little over a month ago when the death sentence was handed down. President Bush was out on the campaign trail almost immediately promoting the death sentence as a major achievement for the Iraqi people. He invited the cameras to come and take that statement. It was carried live, coast to coast. This time around, The White House really doesn't want to appear to be gloating or dancing on a dead man's grave or anything like that. Still, there is something of a sense of satisfaction here, without a doubt. President Bush, a longtime rival of Saddam Hussein's, the United States, a rival of the former dictator. Also, the president's father, the 41st president, had his own famous difficulties with Saddam Hussein. But clearly, they understand that this does not mean it's the end of the war. So a bit of a measured response from the White House. We'll be watching for the rest of the day. Back to you, Paige.
Okay, Greg Kelly, thank you. The Vatican condemning Saddam's hanging, a spokesman for Pope Benedict saying the execution might fuel sentiments of revenge and spark even more violence in Iraq. The Vatican rejecting the idea that Hussein's death could be a positive turning point for Iraq, saying executing Saddam is, quote, punishing a crime with another crime.
A reaction now coming in from around the globe. World leaders reacting to Saddam's hanging, some noting how Iraq is now fulfilling its goal of becoming a nation of laws instead of a brutal, murderous tyrant who would execute his own opponents at a whim. Rudy Bakhtar live in Washington with the latest. Hi, Rudy.
Hello to you, Eric. Well, it was just after midnight our time that the State Department confirmed the death of the former Iraqi president, saying this closes a tragic chapter in Iraq's history. We look forward to continuing our work with the government of Iraq as they continue the work of building a democratic and peaceful society. Australia's Prime Minister reflecting that sentiment, remarking that Saddam was given a proper trial and that due process was followed.
I believe there's something quite heroic about a country that's going through the pain and the suffering that Iraq is going through. It still extends due process to somebody who was a tyrant and a brutal suppressor and murderer of his people. That's the mark of a country that's trying, against fearful odds, to embrace democracy.
Also, little sympathy in Iran for the former Iraqi dictator. Iranians welcoming the death of Saddam Hussein, who invaded their country back in 1980, killing tens of thousands of Iranians. Iranian state television reporting that with the execution of Saddam, the life dossier of one of the world's most criminal dictators was closed. But very different reaction in Libya. Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi announcing a 3-day official mourning period and canceling all Eid celebrations there. And from the Vatican, the spokesman calling the execution tragic and reason for sadness, and said it would not help efforts aimed at justice and reconciliation. The Foreign Secretary of the United States, staunchest ally in the war on terror, Britain, condemned the death penalty, but said, quote, that Saddam had now been held to account for at least some of the appalling crimes he committed against the Iraqi people. A lot of mixed reaction around the world following the execution of Saddam. Eric, back to you.
Hi, Rudy in Washington. Rudy Bakhtar, thank you. Well, there wasn't mixed reaction in Michigan. Take a look at this. Joyous celebrations last night at the news of Saddam's execution. These folks, former Iraqi citizens, taking to the streets in Dearborn. Dearborn, you may know, is home to the country's second largest Arab-American population. Many Iraqi exiles live there. They covered themselves with the Iraqi flags and they danced in the streets, much in the same way that they partied when Saddam's statue fell during the U.S. invasion of Baghdad back in April of 2003. There was some singing and chanting, this time celebrating the death of the former Iraqi dictator.
Military families in Killeen, Texas, especially happy to hear the news about the execution. Killeen is home to Fort Hood. 30,000 soldiers from Fort Hood are in Iraq right now. Veterans and soldiers' families got together last night at a bar to wait on word about Saddam, and almost all of them were happy to hear he was dead. Just one guy disagreed, saying Saddam got off easy by being executed. Okay, take a look at this. This is a live look at New Orleans. Tornadoes and flash floods possibly on the way to the Gulf Coast. The western storm system moving east has already spawned twisters in Texas. Forecasters say Louisiana and Mississippi could get up to 6 inches of rain as the storm moves through. And folks in Texas cleaning up this morning after those tornadoes swept through parts of the state. One of the hardest hit areas, College Station. A lot of damage being reported in apartment complexes and shopping centers there. Police nearby Limestone County say the storm killed at least one person and injured more than a dozen others. And the snow that blanketed Denver, well, it's now heading east. Blizzard conditions slamming the eastern plains Winds up to 35 miles an hour. Interstate 70 from Denver to Kansas is shut down. Even snowplows getting stuck in massive drifts. But Denver International Airport is expecting to run on time today after a lot of cancellations yesterday. Well, our Fox meteorologist Rick Reichmuth is live in the Fox Weather Center with the very latest. Hi, Rick.
Hey, things looking a lot better across the Denver area. Not the case, though, across much of the Deep South. One new tornado warning popping up here in a parish just to the northwest of New Orleans area. That's a concern. This tornado watch box in effect until noon local time, and a new one has been issued. This is in effect until 2 p.m. local time as a line of storms continues to pull on through. But this is our big concern right here. I don't have the name of this parish, but that is where a brand new tornado warning has been posted. Let's take a look at temperatures across the country right now. Very cold air across much of the Rockies. In fact, areas around Denver, temperatures have been dropping. Only around 8 degrees at this point right now in Denver. Factor in the wind. It feels much colder than that. So it's 8 in Denver, 20 in Rapid City. And, of course, Denver, as we had been so concerned about. But this storm, we only saw 7 inches of snow. However, that is on top of the 20 inches that they saw last week, certainly making for some dangerous conditions. And you factor in the wind, it feels like -8. Right here is that delineation, though, in temperatures. It's 55, or feels like 55 in Wichita. And all of the warmth across much of the east, that continues. And it's going to continue as well for the next number of days. Here is a look at our storm system. You can see a very significant system winding up here. The center of it right now is across parts of Texas into Oklahoma. Behind us, it pulls down the much colder air, and that's where we're seeing the snow. Denver, I think you're pretty much done. The worst of it now is going to be across parts of western Kansas into Nebraska and overnight into the Dakotas. That's where we'll be looking for the heaviest of the snow. But the rain, this is our line of storms that we're concerned about now. It's causing the tornadic activity. We've seen one report of a tornado today in across parts of central Louisiana. This entire storm continues to pull off towards the east, and the threat for severe weather will remain for the remainder of the day across much of the central Gulf. Paige.
Rick Reichmuth, thank you. A former president soon to be on his way from his adopted home to Washington for official funeral services. President Gerald Ford's journey straight ahead.
And look at these faces. They're a pair of twins. They've been missing since Christmas Eve. Well, now they've been found safe. Yes, safe. Hundreds, though, miles from their home. We will give you the details and tell you about their fate coming up.
Evening falling over Baghdad in a brand new era, an era without Saddam Hussein. We're covering the fallout from his execution all day right here on Fox News.
Oh, man.
Are you sure?
Would you like to be a Publishers Clearinghouse winner tomorrow? You can if you go to PCH.com right now.
I didn't think this was real.
Enter today, win tomorrow.
Yeah, girl, they're here.
Our next $10 million winner could be you.
Are you a homeowner with a first mortgage, second mortgage, auto loans, student loans, or credit card debt? Or would you like to consolidate your debts into one low monthly payment? Log on or call 1-800-71-FIX, a GMAC company.
Bobby Jones, the first to win golf's Grand Slam. Byron Nelson, the first to win 11 straight tournaments. Arnold Palmer, the first to break the $1 million plateau. Jack Nicklaus, the first to win 18 majors. But who will be first to be crowned the season-long champion and take home the FedEx?
Boy, is my cholesterol out of whack. The doctor says, with my medical history, my bad cholesterol needs to be lowered, and he wants my good cholesterol up. So he put me on Crestor. Crestor, along with diet, can lower the bad cholesterol. It can also raise the good. Crestor helps get my cholesterol in line with what my doctor wants. That's more like it. Is Crestor right for you? Well, ask your doctor. Mine said Crestor isn't for everyone, like people with liver disease, or women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant. And simple blood tests can check for liver problems. He also said to tell them about other medicines I'm taking, or if I have muscle pain or weakness. That could be a sign of serious side effects. Down with the bad, up with the good. How's your cholesterol? Crestor helps get your cholesterol right.
If you can't afford your medication, AstraZeneca may be able to help.
Iraq is taking a major step forward, bringing the man known as the Butcher of Baghdad to justice. But the execution getting mixed reactions around the world and in the Middle East, and could have diplomatic consequences for the United States. We're talking to former U.S. Ambassador to Saudi Arabia, Robert Jordan. Nice to see you this morning, Ambassador Jordan.
Hi, Paige.
Hi there. How do you think Saddam's execution is playing out on the Arab street? Who's rejoicing and who's mourning?
Well, certainly the Arab street in Iran and the Shiite countries is rejoicing. They are thrilled that the person who they've demonized for many years is gone. It's going to be a more mixed reaction, I think, in the Sunni Arab countries, simply because Saddam was a Sunni. But let's look at Saudi Arabia. He attempted to invade Saudi Arabia and take their oil fields. The Saudis fought back. They lost a number of lives, along with Americans, in resisting Saddam's invasion of Kuwait. And I think they don't shed any tears at all. We'll see similar reactions, I think, in Jordan and in Egypt. There will be radicals like Hamas who will try to play on this and claim that it was an inappropriate decision, and they'll mourn his loss. But I think overall, not many tears are being shed for Saddam today.
So, Ambassador Jordan, do you think we're likely to see any kind of backlash, or is there a possibility, with him out of the picture, off the landscape, not having to look at his face in court, we may see more cooperation?
I don't think we're going to see much more backlash from the radicals who are committed to this kind of resistance anyway. And in fact, it may make them wonder what they're fighting for. It does seem to me that there is at least a slight chance, ever so slight, that it could make the Sunni resistance insurgents feel that perhaps there isn't anything more in this game for them, that things are not going to get any better, and they better make a deal at some point. The Shiite majority government is going to have to pay attention to that and give that some respect as well, and ultimately provide for some protection for minority rights so that the Sunni don't feel they'll be slaughtered or there'll be some sort of ethnic cleansing down the line. And of course, the elephant in the room is the oil revenues and the resources of Iraq. How do those get split up? And there is going to need to be some constitutional process that contemplates that. If it's a fair split, then perhaps there is a slight chance for hope down the line.
I want to ask you if you think this is going to impact our relationship with Iran at all, as we're trying to get them to stop their nuclear weapons program. Are they likely to look at this and take any lessons from it?
Well, I don't think so directly. I think they're probably much more closely watching what we do with North Korea on the nuclear issue. It does seem, though, that if they have any interest in stabilizing Iraq, they might instruct some of their surrogates that are operating as Shia leaders in Iraq that now is the time to make a deal. Frankly, I'm not sure that's to Tehran's interest right now. They seem to have an interest in keeping things boiling over there so that it keeps America occupied. So overall, I don't think Saddam's death is going to help their political attitudes toward us.
Ambassador Jordan, what do you think is the next big milestone in bringing stability to Iraq?
Well, obviously, security is paramount, but you've got to look at this as a political problem overall. And the political problem has to be dealt with by the Iraqis through their constitution, through providing minority rights for the Sunni, providing some mechanism for dividing the natural resources and oil revenues of the country. This requires some leadership. It may well be that some of the Sunnis who have been perhaps waiting for Saddam to escape or somehow have a resurgence will now get a dose of reality. They may be willing to come in and engage in a constitutional process that they will accept. That will be the major milestone that happens next, in my opinion.
Well, we certainly hope so, because he was such a mythical figure in the most negative sense, and there was such a thought that his very existence was fueling the Sunni insurgency.
To some degree, that's right, Paige.
Okay, Ambassador Robert Jordan, thanks so much for joining us today.
Sure, thank you.
Eric?
Well, Paige, our coverage of the execution of Saddam will be continuing throughout the day here on Fox News Live. But first, a lot of vicious weather in our country ripped through the Plain States overnight. Tornadoes down in Texas. There's a tornado watch in New Orleans. And lots of snow out west. We'll have your Fox forecast for this Saturday coming up. And then the body of our former President Gerald Ford, as you can see live today, will return to the nation's capital. There are 2 funeral services planned there for the former president who died on Tuesday. We'll take you there live, give you all the details as we continue our coverage of the death of President Gerald Ford. Straight ahead here on the Fox News Channel. Stay with us.
Welcome to a brand new day. Welcome to a place where books rewrite themselves, where you can drag and drop people wherever they want to go, where maps are rewritten, and anyone can be famous, where we're more powerful together than we ever could be apart. Welcome to the Human Network.
It's the time of the season when love runs high. In this time,
Moving your 401ks to Fidelity is groovy. Our retirement specialists make it so easy, they'll even do most of the paperwork. You dig? Call 1-800-FIDELITY. Smart move.
Look at me, I'm in a size 2. I finally did something. I called Nutrisystem, and I lost 33 pounds.
Get real results with Nutrisystem Nourish, the easy weight loss program that lets you eat great and lose weight.
It's simple. I just eat the food. It works. This is good, too.
Call or go online now to get 4 weeks of delicious meals and lose weight. Plus, you'll get an extra week of Nutrisystem meals free.
This is the first time that I could put on a swimsuit and not be self-conscious.
Our secret is the breakthrough science of the glycemic index that separates good carbs from bad.
I'm a chocoholic, and this plan lets me eat chocolate every day.
Nutrisystem delivers every meal to your door, and shipping is free.
I feel so sexy.
For about $10 a day, you'll enjoy 4 weeks of perfectly portioned meals.
Trust me, you will lose weight.
Get our 4-week program and we'll send you an extra 7 breakfasts, 7 lunches, 7 dinners, and 7 desserts. A full week of food absolutely free. Call.
We're challenging Honda and Toyota head-on at the Hyundai Challenge Year-End Sales Event. It's your last, best, biggest chance to get big cash back on a lineup that offers you better quality, better fuel efficiency, a better warranty, and better year-end savings on models like the award-winning Sonata. We're up to the challenge, and you'll put big cash back in your pocket, but only if you hurry.
Get a new Sonata for just $16,495 at your Portland area Hyundai dealer.
That was a dinner party. I wish there was a way we could do this faster.
No, I got an idea. Let's go crack open your computer and take out some of the high speed.
Saddam's death by hanging, a powerful image seen across the globe today, including neighboring Iran. Recent elections there have left President Ahmadinejad politically vulnerable, and yet with Saddam's demise, Iran could be posed to become the major power broker in the region. Arnaud de Bourgrave is the editor-at-large for UPI and also a senior advisor and director at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Mr. Bourgrave, welcome. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Eric.
Do you think Saddam's execution helps Iran? I mean, after all, he had long been mortal enemies. He had launched that Iran-Iraq war. What do you think the reaction and the result is to Ahmadinejad's reign?
Eric, they see U.S. policies, Ahmadinejad and his colleagues see U.S. policies as having helped Iran tremendously, inadvertently and not intentionally on our part. But we got rid of their two principal enemies, namely Taliban in Afghanistan and Saddam Hussein in Iraq. The Sunni Arabs, the moderate states like Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt are increasingly concerned about the growing strength of Iran in the region. How the Baker-Hamilton Iraq Study Group even said that Iran has more influence today in Iraq than the United States. All of this is of tremendous concern to the Sunni Arabs. to such a degree that they've been meeting secretly at the intelligence chief level with Israel, and they are convinced that sooner or later the U.S. and or Israel, with help from the Sunni Arab countries, will have to do something about Iran.
What can we do about that? When you say we're meeting, what type of proposals do you think are on the table? Does this mean a military attack?
Oh, I think it's inevitable. Inexorably, we're moving towards some kind of military showdown with Iran sometime in 2007, in any case before President Bush finishes his second term.
You're confident of that?
Oh, I'm pretty certain about that. I was pretty certain that we were going to war in Iraq 1 year before the war actually started. And my same sources today see us moving inexorably in that direction.
You know, it's true that Ahmadinejad, it seems to be taking a page from Saddam's playbook. It's history being repeated. Saddam had 17 resolutions that he ignored. Now Iran has 2 that they're ignoring on their nuclear issues. Do you think that is the case?
Eric, the resolutions have been passed by the UN are not even a slap on the wrist. That certainly doesn't concern them at this point. I would hardly call them sanctions. The Europeans will go on trading with Iran. Russia and China will go on trading with Iran. So far, that doesn't really have any kind of an impact in Tehran.
Do you think, though, Ahmadinejad, is there any sense that he could be looking over his shoulder? I mean, look what happens. This has got to be a message to those like Kim Jong-il when dictators and tyrants go down. I mean, Mussolini was tar and feathered and dragged through the streets. So do you think he looks at this as the win that you say?
Eric, the message that he gets is from North Korea, and that North Korea now has a nuclear capability which protects them against any kind of a U.S. attack. And that is why they are determined to move as fast as possible to develop their nuclear capability. And I think they're much closer to it than most people realize, given the fact that they've been working on it for the past 20 years with the help of the Pakistanis, and Pakistan is a nuclear power, specifically with the help of Dr. A.Q. Khan, who is the most popular man in Pakistan today, after having helped 3 of America's enemies develop nuclear capabilities.
Arnold de Brograve, we thank you for your chilling insight on what could be the post-Saddam Hussein era as we look into the future and enter a new year in 2007. Thank you, Arnold. Paige?
Our coverage of the execution of Saddam continues. Also, Spain's government says terrorists have broken their ceasefire. Find out exactly what they did. Thousands paying respects to Gerald Ford. The ceremonies continue. We're going to have more on the preparations for Ford's final farewell. And the godfather of soul getting a send-off like no other. Thousands of mourners paying their respects at James Brown's public viewing in Augusta, Georgia.
Look closely at how dramatically these wrinkles diminish, seeming to disappear with just one application of Genisphere with Q-Zones. When doctors saw these results, they were astonished.
I haven't seen anything like it since Botox, and the clinical evidence is clear.
This is what my patients want. Dramatic results you can see immediately on the eyes, the lips, even the cheeks.
And it's available without a prescription.
Genisphere's patented, clinically tested ingredients work like no other anti-wrinkle formula can. Not Chanel, not Lancome, not even Botox.
They took my picture and put this cream around my eye. I went to lunch, and when I got back, just look. The lines, the wrinkles, I don't see them anymore.
Apply it each morning like your normal moisturizer. Genisphere's patented microscopic carriers called Q-Zones bring absorbent hyaluronic spheres deep into the epidermis where they nestle beneath each wrinkle. Then, absorbing your body's natural moisture, they expand and gently lift wrinkles from beneath.
With daily use, a woman could look years younger than her age for life.
Many of my patients come to see me to avoid surgery. With Genisphere, they can affect the appearance of age lines and crow's feet without surgery or injections.
This revolutionary formula actually lifts wrinkles from beneath. Genisphere is already selling for $99. But if you call right now, you'll find out how to get a month's supply of Genisphere absolutely free. You will see dramatic results, usually with the very first application.
The results are quite dramatic. You see a difference with the very first application.
Genisphere works because it's backed by real science with real results.
Please do not delay. Introductory free supplies are limited. Call now for rush delivery.
Call 1-800-711-5917. That's 1-800-711-5917. Learn how to get a 1-month supply of Genisphere at 1-800-711-5917.
Welcome back to Fox News Live's continuing coverage, the execution of Saddam Hussein. I'm Eric Shaw.
And I'm Paige Hawkins. Just a quick reminder to our viewers, those of you wanting to watch Cashin' In, normally seen at this time, well, you can catch it at 4:30 p.m. Eastern tomorrow. It's part of our 2-hour Cost of Freedom business block. It airs in its entirety, so you don't miss a minute. Tomorrow, that starts at 3 p.m. Eastern time. His lawyer said Saddam Hussein would go to the gallows with a smile on his face, but instead the former dictator was stoic, unremorseful, and even looked a bit fearful, according to one witness. And though the execution is seen as a turning point, the violence didn't stop today, unfortunately. David McDougall is live in our Baghdad bureau with reaction. David.
Paige, 14 hours since he was executed, 10 hours till he has to be buried, as you might expect. The death of Saddam Hussein sparking mixed reaction here in Iraq. Shiites and Kurds have been celebrating, while many Saddam loyalists and Sunni extremists believe they have every reason to be angry. Sadr City in particular was the scene of some joyful celebrations in the streets. There's about 2.5 million people living there, oppressed and brutalized under Saddam's regime. Today, thousands took to the streets playing music, singing, dancing, waving flags and banners. As you can see, these are the people who feel that justice is done now that the dictator is dead. But in many Sunni areas, they are not celebrating. Tikrit in particular, Saddam's hometown, is on lockdown right now, a curfew in place for 4 days, and the Iraqi army on standby in case of violence. And there's been some violence already in the Baghdad suburb of Hurriya. A double car bombing left at least 37 dead, dozens more wounded. Hurriya, I was there a couple of months ago. It's a mixed neighborhood, mostly Shia, where a lot of Shiite refugees have come from other parts of the country. But I'm not sure it's accurate to characterize the bombing as a direct result of Saddam's execution at this time. But for millions of Iraqis, that video today of Saddam with a noose around his neck is the defining image of 2006. They say the satellite dish is the national flower of Iraq. It's blooming on rooftops all over the country, and that's the way people get their news. The first way they would see the video of the moments leading up to Saddam's execution. And Paige, some of the most impactful witness testimony came from Iraq's National Security Advisor, Muwafaq al-Rubai. He was a witness to the execution. He got to speak to Saddam a few minutes before he was hanged. Al-Rubai says that Saddam was very meek, very mild. He went to the gallows without any protest. That, of course, is at odds with the firebrand image we have of Saddam Hussein from his years in power. Paige?
Certainly is. David McDougall in Baghdad. Thank you.
This is a live look of St. Margaret's Church in Palm Desert, California. As you can see, the flag-draped coffin of our former president, President Gerald Ford, will be prepared momentarily. Past day, thousands of people have filed past that coffin. The public viewing in Mr. Ford's hometown of Palm Desert has ended. That ended early this morning. Military officers in a few moments will be prepared to transport the former president to the nation's capital later on this afternoon. There will be a state funeral in the Capitol Rotunda. Anita Vogel is outside the church right now in Palm Desert, California, with the latest as the situation there ends. Hello, Anita.
Well, hi, Eric. You're right. The public viewing here at St. Margaret's Episcopal Church has ended now. It ended about 2 hours ago after many members of the public, thousands of people, in fact, had a chance to go inside the sanctuary and experience a little bit of history. Now, throughout the night and early this morning, people actually boarded shuttle buses, thousands of people, as I mentioned, from the local area at a staging area several miles away from here. And at times they waited up to 3 hours in line, all for a chance just to spend a few minutes viewing the presidential casket in silence. President Ford might not have known it, but he had a lot of fans and admirers from all walks of life and both sides of the political aisle.
I think he was a very, he was a great American, just a good all-around good guy. I think he took the presidency at a terrible time and turned this country around. And you're talking to a Democrat, so I really admire the man, so it does a lot for him.
President Ford's body lay in repose from yesterday late afternoon until 6:30 a.m. local time. Inside the sanctuary, it remained quiet throughout the night as the color guard surrounded the casket as well-wishers walked by saying silent prayers and acknowledging the presence of the nation's 38th president. In less than half an hour now, at 9 a.m. local time, here at the St. Margaret's Episcopal Church, there will be a departure ceremony where the president's casket will be prepared to be transferred to the Palm Springs International Airport, and from there it will be on to Washington, D.C. for national ceremonies. Eric, back to you.
All right, Anita Vogel in Palm Desert. Thanks, Anita. We'll have much more on the funeral service for the former president later on today. You can join Trace Gallagher live from Palm Desert at 3 o'clock Eastern Time this afternoon. He'll have all the news of the day, plus special coverage of the funeral plans, that on Studio B.
Fans are calling it his farewell tour. James Brown being remembered today in a Georgia arena named for him. You're looking at live pictures. About 8,500 people expected to show up to pay tribute to the godfather of soul. The ones who can't fit inside are gathering on the sidewalk to listen to the memorial on speakers. James Brown died Christmas morning at the age of 73. Missing twins from North Carolina turn up safe and sound in Canada. Police say the 17-month-old brother and sister, Tyler Lee and Holly Ann, were kidnapped by their biological mother. Allison Lee Quetz could face charges of international parental kidnapping. A custody agreement allowed Quetz to take the children from their adoptive parents for a 2-day visit. But police say she never returned them and instead crossed the border into Canada.
And there's been tragedy in Indonesia this morning. Hundreds feared dead in a ferry accident. The boat broke apart and sank in the Java Sea in the middle of a storm. About 600 people were on the ferry at the time. Most of them are still missing. So far, just 66 passengers have been found. And 3 people were wounded during a car bombing at the Madrid airport in Spain. Look at that. The blast going off at a new terminal. Travelers were forced to leave the area and traffic came to a complete halt. Investigators say a Basque separatist group phoned in a warning before that attack. Investigators, though, do not believe it has any relation to or is in response to Saddam's execution.
Millions of Muslims descending on Mecca for an annual pilgrimage, this year's Hajj, happening in the shadow of Saddam Hussein's execution. Reaction to the news running the gamut in the Middle East. Anita McNaught live in Jerusalem with more. Anita.
Well, Paige, Saddam Hussein may have been very popular in some parts of the Middle East, many seeing him as a hero simply because he defied the United States. But among some of his neighbors, he was not so popular, in particular the Kuwaitis, whom he invaded in 1991, and the Iranians, against whom he waged an 8-year war. In both of those countries, there is approval for his execution today. But among Palestinians, the mood is sorrowful. Saddam Hussein was a long-standing supporter of the Palestinian cause. For years, he pumped money into the territories, most notably donating as much as $25,000 a time to Palestinian families whose relatives had been killed in conflict with Israelis, or more controversially, had died in suicide bombings. Palestinians also had their own neighborhood in Baghdad, subsidized by Saddam. That's now almost destroyed. Another casualty of sectarian fighting and lawlessness in Iraq these days. Palestinians reflected conflicted feelings throughout the Middle East, that while Saddam Hussein had been a brutal tyrant, they doubted his trial was legitimate and free from foreign influence.
Saddam Hussein is the Arab leader, and even if he had to be executed, so he has to be executed by pure Arab hands and not by American occupation.
In Saudi Arabia, where 3 million Muslims from all over the world are on day 3 of the Hajj, the annual pilgrimage to Mecca, there's astonishment and anger that the execution should be carried out in the middle of such a significant religious festival. Some saying that's been designed to provoke Muslims. But other pilgrims there welcomed his death.
This is a decision by God. His execution came from God and not from anyone else. He was an oppressor, and he got what he deserved.
In Jerusalem tonight, Israelis will be remembering the man who fired more than 40 Scud missiles into the country during the first Gulf War, and the man whose emerging nuclear program they bombed 10 years earlier. But for Israelis, of course, one threat in the region has been replaced, arguably, by many more. Paige.
Anita McNaught, thank you. The rescuers almost needing to be rescued themselves. Near Seattle, firefighters there responding to a call of a water leak when the ground caved in and took their truck with it. Yikes. Well, thankfully, all the firefighters were able to get out of the truck and nobody was injured. In Tennessee, 7 construction workers were rushed to the hospital, 3 with serious injuries when scaffolding collapsed. Investigators say one of the men was standing on top of the scaffolding, loading bricks when it broke and dropped down onto his 6 co-workers. They say the bricks may have been too heavy for the structure.
Well, several families are homeless for the new year after a fire broke out in Boston. Look at that. The flames tore through the top floors and collapsed the rear of their building. 17 people were inside. Some of them did suffer some minor injuries, but thankfully everyone made it out alive. The Red Cross now working to help the displaced families. And it was an ignominious end in a small, barren room. You know, he once had 78 separate, luxurious presidential palaces. He once wielded a king's power and a tyrant's brutality. We'll take a look back at the Saddam Hussein years in Iraq, coming up next.
The storm that slammed Colorado, giving the mile-high city a rest, but it's not finished yet. We're going to look at who could get hit next. But first, let's check in with Brian Wilson and find out what's coming up in just a few minutes on Weekend Live. Hi, Brian.
Hi, Paige. Weekend Live will continue to cover the two big stories of the day. First, we'll continue to cover reaction to the execution of Saddam Hussein, and we'll go live to Palm Desert, California to cover ceremonies for former President Gerald Ford as he begins the solemn journey to Washington for his state funeral. We'll talk to two of President Ford's closest advisors, and I'll be joined by our Chris Wallace and Charles Krauthammer. Weekend Live begins at the top of the hour.
This has to be a dream. Oh, God, Mama.
Would you like to be a Publishers Clearinghouse winner tomorrow?
Oh, this is incredible.
You can if you go to PCH.com right now. Enter today, win tomorrow.
It finally happened.
Our next $10 million winner could be you.
Wherever good can overcome, that is where your contributions to the Salvation Army go.
It's the time of the season when love runs high. In this time,
Moving your 401ks to Fidelity is groovy. Our retirement specialists make it so easy, they'll even do most of the paperwork. You dig? Call 1-800-FIDELITY. Smart move.
I'm Montel Williams. The Partnership for Prescription Assistance is traveling to all 50 states, making stops to help people pay for their medicine.
I was in a lot of pain. I wasn't able to afford my medications, and PPA gave me back my life.
This past year, America's pharmaceutical companies gave away more than $5 billion worth of medicines to people in need.
it has been a lifesaver for me in more ways than one.
If you need help, just call 1-888-4PPA now. The Partnership for Prescription Assistance, on the road to helping you.
You're hurting me. Trust me, I'm not. 24, the two-night premiere event, next month on Fox.
You are looking at live pictures of St. Margaret's Church in Palm Desert, California, a church where the late President Gerald Ford often worshipped in the later years of his life, and of course preparations underway for a funeral there to be held for him. In Palm Desert, California, St. Margaret's Church, as we remember President Gerald Ford. We're all seeing how Saddam Hussein's life ended. In Baghdad almost 14 hours ago now, the road to the gallows was long and it was violent. A 24-year reign of terror. David Lee Miller now on Saddam's life and dictatorship.
The fall of a dictator. Operation Iraqi Freedom toppled Saddam's regime, ending more than 2 decades in power. As coalition forces surrounded Baghdad, Saddam, or one of his many lookalikes, told Iraqis to fire on the criminals. Despite repeated airstrikes targeting Saddam, his fate at war's end remained a mystery. Was he dead or alive? No one knew. Gone for certain, countless statues, photos, and paintings that once served as self-made tributes. The man nicknamed the Butcher of Baghdad, who tortured and murdered anyone who opposed him, had the humblest of beginnings. He was born to a widow in the small northern Iraqi town of Tikrit on April 28, 1937. Saddam's mother sent him to stay with an uncle, a devout Muslim nationalist and army officer. Uncle Talfa was the role model for a young, impressionable Saddam Hussein. In high school, He joined the pro-nationalist anti-Western Ba'ath political party. In 1958, a young Saddam plotted to assassinate Iraqi dictator Major General Abdel Karim Qasim. The plot failed. Hussein was quickly arrested, and just as quickly, he escaped. On the run, he ended up in Cairo, where he finished his secondary schooling and studied law. Still active in the Ba'ath movement, a second attempt at Karim's life succeeded. He even killed his own brother-in-law for the sake of the party. At a young age, he was fast becoming what the Iraqi government would call the perfect soldier. A series of coups and counter-coups later, the Ba'ath Party took firm control of Iraq. Following a bloodless coup in 1968, Saddam Hussein was on the verge of ultimate power. During the 70s, Saddam nationalized Western oil companies and used the revenue for building and welfare projects. But he also used the money to beef up the military, adding an elite presidential security force, the Republican Guard. Many considered him the real power behind then Iraqi President Ahmed Hassan al-Bakr. In 1979, he stepped out of the shadows to become president himself. He invaded Iran in 1980, a war that lasted 8 years and cost 1 million lives. 2 years later, in August 1990, the master strategist made his biggest strategic blunder. He invaded Kuwait for what he claimed was the recovery of stolen oil resources. Saddam ignored the world's demand to withdraw from Kuwait, prompting Gulf War I, Operation Desert Storm. Saddam Hussein called it the mother of all battles. But with Iraq's infrastructure badly damaged and its army in retreat, most called it defeat. But Saddam claimed victory. He continued to demand the withdrawal of UN inspectors that were sent to ensure Iraq was no longer making weapons of mass destruction. In post-war Iraq, political rivals were killed, his people lived in fear, but he held on to power. Until Operation Iraqi Freedom ended his reign once and for all. But decades of his ruthless regime took their toll. He left behind a country in tatters and a legacy of terror the world will not forget. David Lee Miller, Fox News.
Well, even with Saddam's execution, the violence in Iraq hasn't stopped. At least 70 people have been killed in attacks around the country after the execution. Will the dictator's death have any effect on the terror in Iraq? We'll take a look in a moment. Then, remembering a president. Final preparations now underway for the state funeral of President Gerald Ford. That's his casket live in the church in Palm Desert, California. The departure ceremony begins at 12 Eastern. That's just 13 minutes or so from now. We'll have it for you live here in the Fox News channel. And take a look down in Georgia, another live look, this time inside the James Brown Arena in Augusta, where thousands there are gathering to say goodbye to the Godfather of Soul. We'll also take you there live. Straight ahead here in the Fox News channel. Stay with us.
Visa Business Card gives you financial tools to help reduce paperwork, increase efficiency, and maybe even save a tree or two. Your business is your life. Life takes Visa.
Roger.
As a kid, I used technology to help people do better. Today, Scottrade does the same for online investors with more powerful trading and account management tools, fast, accurate $7 trades, and offices near you, wherever you are. Open a Scottrade account today.
Town & Country Chevrolet Milwaukee asks, why spend over $30,000 for an 06 Trailblazer when you could buy one at TNC for $17,988? TNC has made another special purchase of Trailblazers, and they're starting at $17,988. They're 4x4, loaded with automatic, AC, CD player, and more. Take advantage of these prices. There's been a great demand on these Trailblazers, and they won't be around very long. It's happening now at Town & Country Chevrolet in Milwaukee. Drive home happy.
If you're tired of paying for high-priced, old-fashioned help wanted ads in the newspaper, then do what over 1,000 other business owners have done. Make the switch to PortlandJobFinder.com. Brought to you in partnership with Comcast Spotlight.
Portland Job Finders is a service we use here at Willamette Mortgage Services to help us recruit potential loan officers for our business. We've had tremendous success with the quality of personnel that come from Portland Job Finder.
PortlandJobFinder.com, the faster, more effective way to find local employees.
Working from home changed my life.
It all started when I was referred by this free service.
With all the money I made working from home, I bought a new home. This is the one website you have to visit.
Put your computer to work now.
All you need is a computer and a little belief in yourself.
I'm making $5,000 a month.
I make over $7,000 a month working part-time.
I love the lifestyle my home business offers, and the money's great too.
Log on to 25future.com now.
Ever since I was a kid, it's always taken hard work to represent a team. You have to always put your team first, put the fans first, and put your family first.
Let's go, Devo!
It's important to go into practice, lead by example, do the little things it takes to win, and for me, it all comes down to the sweat.
What's next for Iraq? Well, after Saddam's execution, the goal, of course, is finding a way to try and bring peace to the country. But terrorists are using a series of attacks today to say that that will not be easy. Peter Newman is a terrorism analyst who joins us now from London. Hello, Peter. Thank you for being here.
Hello, Eric.
You know, in the last 13 hours since the hangman's noose did its job, about 70 Iraqis have been killed. There have been 4 bomb attacks at least, one notably in a Shiite neighborhood. Do you think that is, or was a reaction to the execution, or will this strife continue?
Well, it could well be, even though it's not absolutely certain what these attacks relate to. I think it is probably to be expected that in the coming days and weeks we will see a surge in violence. Saddam Hussein had been a symbol of Sunni power, and many Sunni extremists now want to take revenge for what they see as an attack on their martyr or on their legend. So it would be perfectly reasonable in the next days and weeks to see a surge in violence.
You know, we've had so many turning points, they say. His sons were killed, Zakari was killed. What do you think it'll take for the Sunnis to actually stop, and for the Shiites then to try and come together, or can that ever happen?
I think people really have to move on at this point. I think it was inevitable from the moment onwards when Saddam was captured and put on trial that at some point he would be executed. I think it is important to get over these few weeks, and I think it would be absolutely crucial for the Iraqi Prime Minister, who is a Shiite, to now reach out to the Sunnis, to use that opportunity for a big gesture of reconciliation and to say, let's close this chapter in history, let's move on, let's try to find a new beginning. I think this would be a very important moment to act like a statesman.
Well, certainly hope that could happen. You know, are you surprised, though, after watching Saddam all these years at the way it ended? I mean, Peter, it seems so anticlimactic. I mean, one witness said he was afraid. You know, he said a prayer, and he's in that kind of barren room with the camera jiggling all over the place. It just seems so odd and disconnected from the reality of what we knew as Saddam.
I think this is perhaps an important signal to many Iraqis who, over decades, had learned to fear him, had learned to really have Saddam in their brains all the time, to have their entire lives dominated by this seemingly all-powerful figure. And there he goes without any sort of fanfare. So this is absolutely anticlimactic to many people, and perhaps to many Shiites, it is a relief.
I mean, it's like a home video. Are you surprised that he didn't have any fiery speech or denouncement at the end? And in fact, his last letter says the Iraqi people should unite and not hate the Americans.
Well, I think he must have thought through that moment for a long time, and he must have calculated very carefully how he would react in that particular situation. I think his main motivation was to go down in history, at least in the eyes of the Sunnis, as the sort of uniter of Iraq, and that certainly was his sort of message that he wanted to convey. I think many people in Iraq won't believe him. Whether the Sunnis will believe him in the long term remains to be seen.
All right, Peter Newman, we thank you so much. Peter Newman from London.
Thank you very much.
Paige?
Memorials and mourning for Gerald Ford. Thousands attending ceremonies to bid farewell to the former president. The casket departure ceremony begins in just moments. We're going to bring it to you live on Fox.
Open a refrigerator and the light goes on automatically. Open a car door and the light goes on automatically. Wouldn't it be great if you could have a light go on anywhere you need it? Well, now you can with Quick Brights, the super bright LED lights that go on anywhere. They install in seconds, simply peel in place on any door, drawer, or cabinet. And Quick Brights go on automatically when you open and off when you close. Perfect to light up dark drawers, bright enough to light a closet, or to help you see clearly in dark cabinets. They can even light up your medicine chest. You can even count on them when the power goes out. Quick Brights go on when you open and off when you close. Now you can easily find small things in sewing baskets, toolboxes, and tackle boxes too. You can even light up the inside of your mailbox. And Quick Brights are guaranteed to never burn out, or we'll replace them free. So stop straining to find things all over the house. With Quick Brights, you've got the light you need wherever you need it automatically. Call now and get a set of 4 Quick Brights, a $40 value for just $14.99. But call right now and we'll double the offer and give you 4 more absolutely free. As an added bonus, you'll also get 2 tap-on swivel spots. They go from mini floodlights to mini spotlights, just like that, and swivel all the way around. The flood to see where you are, the spot to see what you're doing. Swivel spots are great under cabinets and as accent lights for curios and collectibles. That means you get 8 Quick Brights, 2 swivel spots, and the batteries. An incredible $100 value, all for just $14.99. But you have to call now.
To order Quick Brights, have your credit card ready and call 1-800-216-9186. That's 1-800-216-9186. Call now and get 8 Quick Brights, 2 swivel spots, and batteries, all for $14.99. So call 1-800-216-9186. That's 1-800-216-9186. Call now.
Disciplined investing. It isn't about star fund managers. At T. Rowe Price, it's about experienced investment teams that stay the course. For each 1, 5, and 10-year period, 70% of our mutual funds beat their Lipper average. Low-cost mutual funds from T. Rowe Price. Invest with confidence. Request a complete prospectus or profile with investment objectives, risks, fees, expenses, and other information to read and consider carefully before investing.
That does it for us. I'm Paige Hopkins.
And I'm Eric Shawn. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Weekend Live with Brian Wilson starts right now.
This is a Fox News alert. You're going to be looking momentarily at live pictures at St. Margaret's Episcopal Church in Palm Desert, California. In just a few moments, a ceremony will take place in honor of President Gerald Ford. And then the 38th President of the United States casket will make its way to Washington for this evening's National State funeral in the Capitol Rotunda, where his body will then lie in state until